Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and today the prompt is to show you decks that we use for ourselves most of the time. I picked a few decks, as you can see. It's quite dark here and late, so I'm going to try and make it as relaxing and beautiful as it gets. And here are the decks, the tarot decks that I keep most of the time using for myself. Actually, out of all the decks that I picked here, only Tarot of Transformation happened to be used for client readings, but mostly only a one card draw. When I did the short and sweet readings, I used this deck as a message from a guardian angel, and usually it's a very cool deck to close up or close a reading and give a reading a little sum up message. So this deck, Tarot Transformation, was used for some readings, but most of the times this is a deck that I keep using for myself, and I have a very specific use for this one. It's a deck that I chose to communicate, or that chose me to communicate with my guardian spirit. So as you can see, this deck, it's beautiful, gorgeous colors, and I highly recommend it to anyone who loves psychological approach to tarot. The other deck that I never really used for readings for other people is the wooden tarot. It's a very out there deck, so you have to spend some time to get used to it. It has amazing majors, very gorgeous and readable, but then the minors have various pictures and depictions of natural objects, and at times can be a little bit harder to read, so you've got to really get to know it a little bit to read with it. Especially the bones, I found, are quite demanding on imagination, but you can do it. And this deck, when you put a few cards together, it looks beautiful. So the wooden tarot. Then another deck that I don't use for client readings at all and just really enjoy doing it for myself is the tarot, the Vampire Tarot, or Tarot of Vampires. And I trimmed off the white borders. It does look beautiful and makes the deck maybe more usable, but I actually thought with the white borders the pictures stood out much more. It's nevertheless a beautiful deck. It's based on Bram Stoker's Dracula story, and Robert M. Place did a great job to accommodate the story into the tarot cards. So this deck is kind of cool, but obviously quite specific, and maybe not every, I love this card, maybe not every client would appreciate, you know. Some people would love it, but lots of people would get scared, you know, seeing lovers like this. So this is mostly my own pleasure in my own time. Another deck which I don't read for others, it's my favorite shadow work deck. It's the Shekoli Tarot. It's so amazing. This deck is spectacular. I love this deck, and it's saves me no punches, seriously. It's kind of scary. So I don't use this deck very often. I use it only at times when I really need to look at myself honestly, when I need to, you know, take a very like unusual approach, or even when I want to get inspired creatively. It's also a great deck for this. So the Shekoli Tarot. Another one which usually I don't read for clients is the Tarot of the She. It's just a very personal deck for me. It's only because whenever I read with it, I get such honest and in-depth readings, and I don't think I could do it justice reading with it to other people. So it kind of became my own friend. I feel like this deck is a friend, and I can really kind of lead a conversation with it, that can get deepen and that can get directed in different options and can get creative. So Tarot of the She, it's just a deck that I use for myself. Another deck that is only for my own use, it's Tarot of the Sacred Feminine. First of all, it's only like feminine based deck, which I wouldn't have too much problem with, but I thought that the masculine aspect is shown very weak in this deck, so I wouldn't have minded if it was just feminine, but it has some masculine elements, and usually the male is very disadvantaged, and that's kind of, I don't really particularly like it, but this deck is still quite of a deck. And to be honest, I don't use it very often, but I enjoy the images. They're very powerful and they like quite intense. So this deck is kind of used when I do some magical work or when I need to really strengthen my feminine side or have, you know, some issues that I want to explore. Like, see, this is the masculine. Usually they dead in this deck or some kind of yeah, with charm on them. So this is the Sacred Feminine deck, but it's still a beautiful deck. Death, Goddess, Hell. So it's really powerful deck. And the last tarot deck that I keep using for myself only is Tarot of the Shining Tribe by Rachel Pollack. It's mostly because it's quite a new deck for me, but also it's really unusual. So most of the times I just sit with the images and try to, you know, connect with them through the means of meditation or path working or imagination, just imagining stories or where the figures could come from. Usually I just keep the tarot associations, not always, but sometimes I just go with the imagery, and the book is quite cool because Rachel included a lot of information from different cultures and you can read it and it's really fascinating. And the last, this one is the last deck that I keep using only for myself because it's really kind of wow and full on and very personal and intimate. And also, as Katie Flowers said, I just don't feel I could do a justice reading with this deck for somebody else because it's just, I think everybody is so individual and so different, and this deck is very personal, so you will respond very differently to each of the images, even by yourself, depending on the day, on the mood, and so on. So Tarot of the Crone by Ellen Lorenzi Prince. It's just an amazing deck with a lot of beautiful images, and you have to make your own personal connection to these images. The masculine here is shown also quite in a negative way. The kings are masculine and they always shown in the shadow element, but at least it doesn't have a masculine, like a male people that are being shown weak. So that's Tarot of the Crone. And my two oracle decks that I keep using for myself. Recently I was working quite a lot and am working with the Suzuki Oracle by Heather Mendel, and that's like you have two piles. One shows 22 major arcanas and the other one shows Sephiras from Kabbalistic Tree of Life, so like 10 chakras, and each one has a different keyword. And this one has, you know, like the Hangman would be I surrender, and inverting, attending, I listen to. The Hierophant. This is a cool Hierophant, I thought. beautiful lotus flower. So yeah, that's the Suzuki Oracle, but it's really quite cool, and I actually got it by a chance and I really enjoy it. And another oracle which I wouldn't use for anyone else because it's just such an intimate and personal one for me is the Wild Guanine Oracle, with this amazing artwork and such a beautiful spaciousness in the pictures. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I speak to you soon. Bye.